Welcome back to Kafka Stream's real-time stream processing course. In my earlier lecture, I stressed upon the point that we cannot develop a single standalone application that does everything in an enterprise. Applications can be custom designed or they can be purchased from the third-party vendors. Some of the applications may be running outside of the organization and maintained by the partners or the service providers. These applications may be running on multiple computers, on different platforms, using various technologies, and could be geographically dispersed. We need to integrate these applications together to achieve a unified set of functionalities. The point is straightforward. Data integration among the systems is not a new requirement. However, when you are transforming your organization to respond to event streams, the data integration becomes more critical. Like any technological decision, real-time data integration requires a range of considerations. So, as promised in the earlier lecture, let's formulate some critical decision criteria that we can use to evaluate the right solution for streaming data. I'm going to talk about the following 5 essential requirements. And then we will evaluate some streaming solutions against these requirements. Let me explain this. Time sensitivity is an obvious requirement, and it is one of the critical elements of real-time data integration. An acceptable solution must be able to make data available to other applications in a time-critical manner. What does that mean? That means the source system must be able to push events to the target system to be consumed in seconds and milliseconds. The next requirement is to achieve decoupling of applications. Therefore, the integration should be flexible enough to allow both the applications to change as needed. The integration goal should be to minimize the dependency among data producers and data consumers and yet achieve the integration needs. The data format is another critical problem. We cannot change existing applications to use a unified data format. The data producers and consumers may evolve over time, and we need the flexibility to support the evolution and extensibility of the data formats as the applications and the business needs evolve. Reliability is all about failure-free operations. In a typical system, different applications may be scattered on discrete computers across locations. These systems may not be available all the time, or the network may be temporarily unavailable. Data integration solution must be free from such failures and avoid loss of data and operations. Scalability is obvious. We are living in the big data era, and we want our systems to be horizontally scalable. You may start with a couple hundred events a day, but as the business grows, the solution should be scalable to support millions and trillions of events. A functioning data integration solution should at least meet these 5 decision criteria. Great. Once we have the evaluation criteria, the next question is obvious. What options do we have? There are many ways of integrating applications for data exchange. However, all those approaches can be broadly grouped into 4 main patterns: shared database, remote procedure invocation, file transfer, and messaging. Let's quickly evaluate them on our requirement. Databases are great. I already talked about this pattern in the earlier lecture. In this approach, all the data producers write to a shared database, and all the data consumers read from the same database. If you select a modern distributed database, your solution will meet the time sensitivity and decoupling requirement to some extent. However, databases are often restrictive in supporting a variety of data formats and allowing the schema to evolve over time. Designing a unified schema that meets the need for all the participating applications is practically impossible task. This problem becomes more prominent if you need to integrate with the packaged applications or the external applications that are not flexible enough to adapt to the shared schema design. Reliability and scalability is also a concern with many database systems. Many applications simultaneously querying and modifying the same data will also bottleneck the database performance at scale. When systems are distributed across various locations, accessing a single shared database is often not practical. More importantly, databases were designed with data at rest approach rather than data in motion approach. They are suitable for persisting data and querying it at a later stage. However, when you start using them for real-time millisecond integrations, your solution starts becoming tricky on all these fronts. The next pattern is using remote procedures. RMI or RPC is mainly used to trigger some actions using APIs at the other application and provide the necessary data for the operation. The API is typically offered by the receiver application, and it needs to be implemented by the sender application. This approach creates a tight coupling among the applications. We already evaluated this option in the earlier lecture and realized that it fails on the decoupling and scalability parameters for implementing real-time streams. The third pattern of integrating data among applications is to use file transfer. The file transfer is the most straightforward pattern for implementing data integration. The data producer application produces a file, and all the data consumer applications are supposed to consume the data files. The most obvious example is the export-import operation. These files could be XML, JSON, or maybe a simple delimited file such as CSV. However, this approach is obviously not going to work for real-time requirements, and they fail on the time sensitivity parameter. Generating files and handling them on time may get you into many other trade-offs. The final data integration pattern is the messaging system. As the name suggests, a messaging system is all about sending small chunks of data from one system to other system. There are two approaches to messaging: point-to-point and publish-subscribe or pub/sub. In a point-to-point messaging system, each message is targeted for one consumer application. This option definitely doesn't meet our requirement. We have a one-to-many. So we simply reject PTP messaging. A publish-subscribe or pub/sub messaging system is built on the concept of publisher, broker, topic, and subscribers. Before we evaluate this option, let's try to understand the components of pub/sub messaging system, and then we will determine if this approach fits our requirement on those 5 criterions. The first component of pub/sub messaging system is the publisher. Any application that sends data should act as a publisher. For our retail chain example, the POS application works as a publisher, and it sends the invoices for other apps. People use different names such as data publisher, data producer, and sender. However, it means the same thing, a publisher. The second component of the pub/sub messaging is the subscriber. An application that reads data sent by the publisher is a subscriber. For our retail chain example, services such as shipment and loyalty are subscribers. They read invoices that are sent by the POS systems. You might notice people referring to them as data consumers or receivers. However, all that means the same thing, a subscriber. The next and the main core component of pub/sub messaging system is the broker. The broker is the heart of the pub/sub messaging system. The broker sits in the middle of the publishers and subscribers and acts as a middleman between them. In other words, the broker is responsible for receiving messages from the publishers, storing them into a log file, and sending the messages to the subscribers. Any application that wants to send a message should send it to the broker. The broker receives the message, sends an acknowledgement, and persists the data into a log file. When consumer application wants to read the message, they consume it from the broker. Finally, the topic is another logical component in a pub/sub system. The topic is nothing but a message namespace, which offers a mechanism to categorize the messages. If you are coming from the database world, you can think of the topic as a table name. The producer always writes the messages to a topic, and the consumer reads it from the topic. The broker creates a log file for each topic, and at the same time, the broker maintains multiple topics like a database that maintains many tables. When a producer sends a message, it specifies the topic name for the message, and accordingly, the broker persists the message in the corresponding log file. When a consumer wants to read the message, they ask the broker for the messages from a specified topic. Great! I hope you got fundamental understanding of how a pub/sub messaging works. This course is about Kafka, and Apache Kafka adopted pub/sub messaging architecture to offer a streaming infrastructure. Why? Because pub/sub messaging wins on all 5 criterions over all other alternatives. Let's try to understand it. By adopting pub/sub semantics, Apache Kafka can become a circulatory system of your data ecosystem that carries messages to various members of the infrastructure. It occupies a central place in your real-time data integration infrastructure. The data producers can send data as messages, and they can send it to Kafka broker as quickly as the business event occurs. Data consumers can consume the messages from the broker as soon as they arrive at the broker. With a careful design, the messages can reach from producers to consumers in seconds or milliseconds. The producers and consumers are completely decoupled, and they do not need tight coupling or direct connections. They always interact with the Kafka broker using a consistent interface. The producers do not need to be concerned about who is using the data, and they just send the data once, without worrying about how many consumers would be reading the data. Producers and consumers can be added, removed, and modified as the business case evolves. When coupled with a system to provide message schema service and a connector service, the producers and consumers would have the flexibility to handle schema evolution. So, we understand that the pub/sub messaging system qualifies for the first 3 decision criteria of time sensitivity, decoupling, and data format. However, we still need to ensure reliability and scalability. These 2 features are offered by the Kafka architecture and its design. Apache Kafka is not a traditional pub/sub messaging system. It is a distributed, fault-tolerant, and highly scalable system that is designed to provide the backbone infrastructure for real-time streaming requirements. Understanding the reliability and scalability features of Apache Kafka requires a deeper discussion. So, we end this section of the course here, and I'll cover the reliability and scalability in the next session. Great! See you in the next lecture. Keep learning and keep growing.